My wife demanded I apologize to her male best friend. After I caught them flirting, saying, "You're being insecure. Call him right now and say sorry." So I divorced her and watched her spiral. Sup, Reddit. Imagine your wife demanding you call her male best friend right now to apologize for being too suspicious, while she's still basically fresh from a hotel room with him. According to her, I was the insecure one. According to his text messages, he'd been sleeping with her for 6 months. This didn't end in a group hug. It ended in divorce papers, police reports, and karma body slamming both of them. Grab some popcorn and enjoy the chaos. I, 34 male, work as an engineer by trade. I grind at work, handle responsibilities without excuses, and literally constructed my house with my own 2 hands from foundation to roof. Got hitched to Haley, 34 female, 9 years back when we were both 25 and dumb enough to believe passion trumped everything. We had a stable marriage. Haley thrived on attention and constant social interaction. Meanwhile, I preferred my gaming setup in solitude. She maintained this tight-knit circle from her university days that I endured but never genuinely connected with. Dorian belonged to that pack, her supposed platonic soulmate from orientation week, who allegedly treated her like family. Right, sure. My instincts screamed otherwise, yet without concrete evidence, I swallowed my suspicions and allowed her freedom to maintain those relationships. Reasoned that marriage without fundamental trust was pointless anyway. Apparently, my intuition knew better than my logic. So there I was at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday, stumbling back from the bathroom half asleep, when I noticed my wife's phone lighting up our bedroom, like Times Square on New Year's Eve. Haley's phone had been going off for 20 straight minutes. Buzz after buzz after buzz. My gut won. The messages were from Dorian, her college best friend. The same Dorian who'd been orbiting around my wife for the past decade like some pathetic satellite. I opened the message thread and felt my blood turn to ice. "Can't stop thinking about you in that red dress today. When I took it off, you looked incredible. How much longer are we doing this? I want you full time. When are you leaving Rowan? Last night was amazing. Does your husband really not suspect anything? Guy must be blind." I scrolled up. 6 months of messages. Half a year. They'd been meeting up twice a week at minimum, sometimes more. There were screenshots of hotel confirmations in the thread. Plans for their next hookup. Inside jokes about me being a clueless idiot. Photos I definitely didn't want to see. The worst part wasn't even the cheating. It was the way they talked about me. Like I was some joke. Some obstacle to work around. Haley would complain about our boring life in one message, then plan to meet Dorian at some hotel an hour later. I stood in my own bedroom, watching my 9-year marriage evaporate in real time on a 5-inch screen. I took screenshots of everything. Every single message. Airdropped them all to myself. Put her phone back exactly where I found it, screen facing down on the nightstand. Then I went back to the bathroom, splashed cold water on my face, and started planning. Because here's the thing about guys like me. I don't react emotionally. I react strategically. The next 3 days were an acting masterclass. I made breakfast like normal. Kissed Haley goodbye when she left for work. Asked about her day over dinner. The whole time I was documenting everything, building my case like I was preparing for trial. I pulled up our credit card statements online. Found charges at hotels across town I'd never been to. She'd spent our money to look good for another man. On Thursday night, Haley came home looking nervous. She had that guilty expression she always gets right before she lies to my face. This little thing where she won't make eye contact and keeps touching her hair. We were eating dinner when she brought it up. "I talked to Dorian today," she said, staring at her plate. "He's really upset that you don't like him." I took a bite of steak. Chewed slowly. "I never said I didn't like him. But you're always so cold to him. He thinks you're jealous of our friendship." "Should I be jealous?" I asked, keeping my voice completely neutral. "See? That right there. That's exactly what I'm talking about." She put her fork down hard enough that it clanged against the plate. "You make these passive-aggressive comments. You never want to hang out when he's around. Dorian has been one of my best friends since college, and you treat him like he's some kind of threat. A threat. The guy had been with my wife, and she was calling him a friend. The audacity was almost impressive. What do you want me to do about it?" I asked. "I want you to apologize to him." I looked up at her. She was dead serious. "Apologize for what exactly? For being paranoid and jealous? For making him feel unwelcome in our lives? For constantly insinuating there's something inappropriate going on when there isn't?" She was getting worked up now, playing the victim perfectly. "He's one of my oldest friends, Rowan. This has to stop." She was sitting across from me, probably still sore from her hotel visit with Dorian earlier that week, demanding I apologize for being suspicious. If you told me a month ago my wife would have this kind of nerve, I wouldn't have believed you. You want me to call him and apologize right now? I asked. Yes, right now. He's waiting for your call. Of course he was. They'd planned this together. Get the suspicious husband to apologize, gaslight him into thinking he's crazy, make him the bad guy. Classic manipulation playbook. Okay, I said. You're right. I've been unreasonable. Haley looked relieved. Probably thought she'd won. That I was going to roll over and make her affair easier. I pulled out my phone and picked up hers. And give me his number? I found Dorian in the contacts and hit call. Put it on speaker. Set it down on the table between us. He answered on the second ring. Hey, babe. Dorian's voice came through crystal clear. Is the idiot asleep yet? Want to meet up? I'm already at the usual place. The silence in our kitchen was deafening. Haley's face went from confident to ghost white in about half a second. Her mouth literally dropped open. I just sat there watching her, waiting to see what excuse she'd scramble for. Dorian, she started, voice shaking. Wait, who is this? Dorian asked, suddenly sounding a lot less cocky. This is the idiot, I said calmly. Rowan, Haley's husband, the guy whose wife you've been sleeping with at hotels for the past 6 months while I paid the bills. I heard him literally choke on whatever he was having. Coughing, sputtering, the whole bit. Then scrambling sounds. Oh man, I mean, that's not... Haley, what the heck? You called her babe, I said, keeping my tone conversational. On speaker, at my dinner table, while I'm sitting right here. So yeah, Dorian, let's talk about that apology you wanted. Listen, man, this isn't what it sounds like. It's exactly what it sounds like. You're at a hotel waiting for my wife. The usual place, because you've been sleeping with her for 6 months. That about cover it? Click. He hung up immediately. Coward? I looked at Haley. She was frozen, probably trying to figure out how to spin this. Good luck with that. Rowan, I can explain. Don't. I stood up. I've seen all the texts, every single one. For the past 6 months, I've seen the hotel receipts, the phone records, the charges on our credit card, everything. I know exactly what's been happening. It's not what you think. It's exactly what I think. You've been sleeping with Dorian since at least 6 months ago. You've been using our joint credit card to pay for hotels where you cheat on me. And you just tried to manipulate me into apologizing to the guy you're sleeping with. I headed toward the bedroom. Pack your things. You're out. Tonight. Where am I supposed to go? Dorian's place. Your sister's. A hotel. Try one of the ones you've already been to. You seem to know them pretty well. Not my problem anymore. Rowan, please. We're done, Haley. 9 years. Gone. Because you couldn't keep your commitment for 6 months. I started grabbing her stuff from the bedroom. Clothes, shoes, makeup, all of it. Just started throwing it all in the hallway. Haley was following me around, crying and pleading. But I was done listening. You can't just throw me out. This house is in my name only. Bought it 2 years before we got married. You have exactly zero legal right to be here. I grabbed another armful of her stuff. So yeah, I absolutely can throw you out. This is insane. You know what's insane? Spending 6 months sleeping with your college buddy while your husband pays the mortgage. That's insane. Me kicking you out for it? That's just common sense. I opened the bedroom window, second floor, overlooks the front yard, and started chucking her stuff out. Dresses, shoes, handbags, all of it sailing through the air and landing on the lawn below. Some of it caught on bushes. Some of it landed in puddles. Didn't care. Haley was losing it. Stop! You're destroying my things. You destroyed our marriage. This is just fabric and leather. That's when she saw my custom gaming PC sitting on my desk. The one I'd spent 2 years building. Top of the line everything. Custom water cooling loop. RGB lighting. The whole setup had cost me close to $4,000. She looked at it. Then at me. Then at it again. Don't, I said. You've destroyed everything, she said, voice shaking with rage. My relationship. My reputation. Everything. You did that yourself. 6 months ago when you made the choice to cheat. She grabbed my PC tower. Yanked all the cables out. The thing weighed probably 40 pounds, but pure rage gave her strength. Haley, put it down. You want to throw my stuff out the window? She was walking toward it, holding my entire setup. Let's see how you like it. She got to the window and tried to hurl it out, but I caught her wrist. My PC tower swung between us, cables dangling. Let go, she screamed. Put it down. We struggled for a second before I wrestled it away from her and set it down safely on my desk. She ripped her arm away from me and started grabbing boxes, throwing her own stuff in them while yelling at me. You're a controlling jerk. You're insecure. You're pathetic. And you're a cheater who's about to be homeless. Pack faster. Dorian's going to deal with you for this. He's more of a man than you'll ever be. I actually laughed at that. Dorian, the guy who hung up the phone the second he got caught? That's your tough guy? Good luck with that. She kept packing, tears streaming down her face, makeup running, looking like a disaster. Kept muttering threats and insults under her breath. Took her about 40 minutes to get most of her immediate stuff together. I'll be back for the rest, she said, standing at the door with 3 suitcases and 2 trash bags. Call first. I'll leave it on the porch. You're not coming back in this house. She left, peeled out of the driveway so fast she nearly hit the mailbox. I stood there in my bedroom, looking at the chaos. Clothes everywhere. Open drawers. 9 years of marriage ended in one night. I called a divorce attorney first thing the next morning. Left a voicemail describing the situation. Then I started documenting everything. Changed the locks. Updated all my passwords. Moved my important documents to my office safe. The whole next day I was cold, focused, methodical. Exactly how you need to be when your life implodes. No emotion, just action. Then Saturday morning they showed up. I was in the garage organizing Haley's remaining stuff into boxes to put on the porch when I heard a car pull up. 2 car doors slamming. Voices. I walked to the front of the house and there they were. Haley and Dorian. Together. Standing in my driveway like they had every right to be there. Dorian looked different than I'd remembered. He had his chest puffed out, trying to look intimidating. Haley was standing slightly behind him, arms crossed. Rowan, Dorian said, voice trying to sound authoritative. We need to talk. I just stared at him. Didn't say anything. Didn't move. Just stood there with my arms crossed, waiting. Haley told me how you treated her, he continued. Throwing her stuff out windows? Physically grabbing her? That's assault, man. You're lucky she didn't call the cops. She cheated on me with you for 6 months and you're talking about assault? That doesn't give you the right to put your hands on her. I stopped her from destroying my property. Big difference. Dorian took a step closer. You need to let Haley get the rest of her stuff, and you need to apologize for how you've been acting. Like a grown man. I almost laughed. This guy had been sneaking around with my wife for half a year, and now he was on my property telling me to apologize. The nerve on this dude. You need to get off my property, I said calmly. We're not leaving until... You're trespassing. I'm giving you 10 seconds to get back in your car and leave. After that, I'm calling the cops. Oh, you're going to call the cops? Dorian actually smirked. For what? Standing on a driveway? Grow up, man. You got cheated on. It happens. Haley wasn't happy. She found someone who actually appreciates her. That's life. Stop acting like a child and let her get her stuff. Haley stepped forward. Rowan, please, I just want my things. Can we be adults about this? Your stuff is getting boxed up and put on the porch. You can pick it up tomorrow, but you're not coming in the house, and you're not bringing him here again. See, this is exactly what I'm talking about, Dorian said, getting more animated. Haley deserves better than this. She deserves someone who treats her right. Like you? The guy who helped her cheat for 6 months? I didn't help her cheat. We fell in love. That's different. Love? I stared at him. You were texting her during work hours to meet at cheap hotels. That's not love. That's just being a scumbag. Dorian's face went red. You don't get to talk about me like that. I'll talk however I want on my own property. Now get out before I make you. Make me? Dorian actually laughed. Dude, look at you. I'm not scared of you. He stepped onto my lawn, getting closer. Haley tried to grab his arm. Dorian, don't... It's fine, babe. Dorian was walking toward me now, chest puffed out, trying to intimidate. I didn't move. Just stood there, calm, waiting. That's when Dorian made his mistake. He walked past my property line and got right in my face. You're going to apologize to Haley, and you're going to let us in to get her stuff. Right now. No. Dorian reached out and shoved my shoulder. Not hard, but enough to make a point. I said right now. He wasn't paying attention to where he was walking. Took another step forward and his foot caught on something. My tool bag, which I'd set down on the edge of the driveway earlier. He stumbled backward, arms windmilling, and crashed directly into the pristine white picket fence separating my yard from Joyce's house 2 doors down. She's my neighbor, retired teacher, takes her garden more seriously than most people take their kids, and has been known to chase off solicitors with a garden hose. The wood splintered with a loud crack. 2 fence posts snapped clean through. Dorian went straight through the broken section like a wrecking ball and landed hard in Joyce's meticulously maintained flower bed on the other side. He landed right on top of her prized tulips, crushed at least 5 of them. His foot kicked over her decorative garden gnome, the one she'd had for 20 years that her dead mother gave her, and it shattered against the concrete border. The silence that followed was beautiful. Then Joyce's front door flew open. Joyce emerged in full suburban mom war mode. Pajama pants, oversized t-shirt, hair in curlers, and absolutely ready to commit violence. She saw her destroyed garden, her shattered gnome, and her broken fence, and her face went from confused to nuclear in about 1 second. "What did you do to my garden? My fence?" Dorian was scrambling to get up, covered in dirt and tulip petals, with splinters in his shirt. "It was an accident." "An accident?" Joyce was power walking across her lawn now, and despite being maybe 5'2", she looked absolutely terrifying. "You just destroyed my flower bed and my fence. Those tulips were imported from Holland. That gnome was from my mother. That fence cost me $800 to install. Lady, calm down, I just tripped." Wrong words. Joyce bent down, took off her house slipper, one of those thick foam ones, and hurled it at Dorian's head with the accuracy of a major league pitcher. It hit him square in the face. Dorian stumbled back, holding his nose. "Did you just throw a shoe at me? You destroyed my property!" Joyce was taking off her other slipper now. "My mother gave me that gnome. It was irreplaceable. It's a garden gnome." The second slipper flew, hit him in the chest. "It's not just a gnome." Joyce was barefoot now, standing in her yard in her pajamas, looking absolutely unhinged. "It's a memory! It's sentimental value! You just destroyed 20 years of memories." Haley tried to step in. "Ma'am, I'm so sorry. He didn't mean to." "And who are you?" Joyce whirled on her. "Are you with this property destroyer? We were just trying to—" "I don't care what you were trying to do. You came here, you destroyed my garden, you broke my mother's gnome, and now you're going to deal with the police." Joyce pulled out her phone and started dialing. Dorian tried to protest. "You're calling the cops over a few flowers? Imported from Holland." Joyce was practically spitting. "Each bulb cost me $15. That's $75 in tulips, plus the gnome, plus the emotional distress of watching my mother's gnome shatter into pieces. This is insane. You're insane for coming onto this street and destroying people's property." Joyce was on the phone now. "Yes. Hello, police? I need an officer at 847 Oakwood Drive. A man just trespassed and destroyed my property. No, I'm not exaggerating. My garden is ruined. My mother's gnome is in pieces. Yes, I'll wait." Dorian looked at Haley. Haley looked at me. I just stood there, arms crossed, trying not to laugh. "This is your fault," Dorian pointed at me. "You put that bag there on purpose. It's my property. I can put my tools wherever I want. You set me up. You walked onto my property uninvited, shoved me, and destroyed my neighbor's garden because you weren't watching where you were going. That's all on you." Joyce was still on the phone, giving a detailed description of Dorian's car, his license plate, and a play-by-play of the tulip massacre and fence destruction. She was really selling it. "Ma'am, please," Haley tried. "We'll pay for the damages. $75 for the tulips, $50 for the gnome, and $400 to repair my fence." Joyce rattled off immediately. "That's $525. Cash, right now. $500 for flowers and a fence?" Dorian looked like he might actually cry. "Imported. From Holland." Joyce was not backing down. "Plus my mother's gnome that you murdered. Plus my fence that you demolished like some kind of rampaging animal." 2 police cruisers showed up about 10 minutes later. In that time, Joyce had taken approximately 40 photos of her destroyed garden, found 2 neighbors to serve as witnesses, and had somehow changed into a proper outfit to look more presentable for giving her statement. The officers talked to Joyce first. She showed them the garden, the broken gnome, and her photos. Pointed at Dorian. Explained he'd trespassed and destroyed her property. One of the officers came over to talk to Dorian and Haley. I stayed on my porch, watching the circus. "Sir, is this your property?" the officer asked Dorian. "No, but then why are you here?" "I was helping her." He pointed at Haley. "Get her stuff from her ex-husband." He pointed at me. "And this guy has her things. Is this your residence, ma'am?" the officer asked Haley. "I used to live here, but do you currently reside here?" "No." "So you're both on someone else's property without permission?" Dorian jumped in. "He said we could come. I specifically told them to leave," I called from the porch. "Multiple times. Then he shoved me." The other officer came over after finishing with Joyce. "Sir, did you make physical contact with the homeowner?" Dorian's face went pale. "It was barely a shove. So that's a yes?" He was being unreasonable. "Sir, you're on his property without permission. You made physical contact with him, and you destroyed another resident's property. I'm going to need you to step over here." They took statements from everyone. Joyce's was the most detailed. She'd apparently witnessed the whole thing from her window, including Dorian shoving me. In the end, Dorian got cited for trespassing, assault, and destruction of property. Haley got a warning for trespassing. Joyce got an apology from the officers for having to witness such behavior in her neighborhood, and I got thanked for not escalating the situation further. The officers told Dorian and Haley to leave immediately and not return. Told Dorian he'd be hearing from Joyce's insurance about the damaged property. Told Haley she could arrange a police escort to pick up her remaining belongings at a later date. Dorian sat in his car for a minute, probably processing that he'd just gotten cited for trying to play tough guy. Then he drove off. One of the officers looked at Dorian's information. "Sir, you're aware this is your second assault charge this year? You might want to get yourself a good attorney." Dorian's face went from red to gray. "Second? No, the first one was... Doesn't matter what it was. This is number 2. Good luck." Haley stood in my driveway, mascara running, looking defeated. "This is all your fault. You brought him here. You backed his play. This is what that looks like." I turned to go inside. "Arrange the police escort for your stuff. Don't come back here alone." I closed the door and watched through the window as she got in her car and left. Joyce waved at me from her porch. I waved back. Best neighbor ever. The divorce moved forward fast. My attorney was thrilled with all the documentation I'd provided. 6 months of affair texts, credit card receipts showing hotel charges, phone records, and now police reports showing both Haley and Dorian's misconduct. "This is about as clean as divorces get," my attorney told me. "She has no leverage, no sympathy. The evidence is overwhelming." Haley's attorney tried to fight it at first, tried to claim she deserved half of everything, that I'd been controlling, that she'd been emotionally neglected. My attorney shut that down in about 10 minutes by presenting the affair timeline and the financial records showing Haley had spent marital funds on the affair. They settled within 8 weeks. Haley got 15% of marital savings, had to repay $6,000 for affair expenses, got 0 spousal support, had no claim to the house, and had to cover her own legal fees. After repayments, she walked away with about $9,000 from a marriage she destroyed. I kept everything else. The house, the savings, my self-respect. But the real satisfaction came from watching their lives implode in real time. See, Haley and Dorian tried to make it work after everything went down. They moved in together about 3 weeks after the confrontation at my house. Dorian was renting some apartment across town, and Haley moved in thinking they'd finally live their authentic love story without me in the way. Lasted about 2 months before it all fell apart. I heard about it through mutual friends who were still watching the train wreck unfold. Apparently living together revealed what they'd been too distracted to notice during their affair. They actually couldn't stand each other. Dorian was a slob, left dishes everywhere, never cleaned, expected Haley to play housewife. Haley was high maintenance and expensive, constantly wanted to go out, wanted new things, wanted Dorian to treat her right with money he didn't have. The romance died the moment reality set in. A friend of mine told me Dorian had been complaining at the gym about Haley being needy and demanding. He said she'd been expecting him to cover her portion of rent since she'd lost her job, but he'd just gotten his own financial hit from the citations and legal fees from Joyce's property damage. Haley had apparently been venting to her coworkers about Dorian being nothing like she thought, and that he was just as boring as Rowan, but without the money or stability. Ouch. The fight started about 6 weeks in. Neighbors in Dorian's building complained about the shouting matches, screaming about money, about whose fault the mess was, about whether Dorian actually loved her or just wanted the thrill of an affair. Then Haley found out Dorian had been messaging his ex-fiancée, apologizing, saying he'd made a mistake, asking if they could talk. His ex had screenshot the messages and sent them to Haley directly with a note. "He's your problem now. Good luck." Haley lost it. Threw Dorian's PlayStation out the window of his 3rd-floor apartment. Smashed it right there on the pavement below. Neighbors called the cops. Both of them got warnings. The breakup happened about 3 weeks after that. Dorian kicked Haley out after she accused him of never really loving her and just using her for relations. She moved back in with her parents. Dorian tried to get back with his ex. She told him to get lost and blocked him everywhere. Haley tried to reconnect with her old friend group. Most of them wanted nothing to do with her after seeing the affair evidence I'd shared. Her own sister stopped returning her calls. The best part? Someone had screenshot Haley's affair messages and posted them in her company's anonymous gossip forum. She got called into HR, not for the affair itself, but because she'd been using company time and her work laptop to coordinate hotel visits. They demoted her, cut her salary by 40%, and moved her to a basement office. She quit 2 weeks later rather than face the daily humiliation. They were both alone, both broke, both realizing they destroyed their lives for 6 months of hotel hookups that wasn't even that good. Meanwhile, my life was getting better every day. I'd gotten a promotion at work. My boss had pulled me aside about a month after the divorce was finalized and said, "Whatever you're doing differently, keep doing it. Your work's been exceptional lately." Turns out not having a cheating wife draining your energy is great for productivity. I rebuilt my gaming PC, even better than before. Upgraded the GPU, added more RAM, got a new monitor. My Friday nights were spent gaming with friends online. No guilt, no sneaking around, just enjoying myself. Started hitting the gym consistently. Lost 15 pounds, got stronger, felt better. And then I met someone new. She was at a conference I attended in the city. We got talking during a break, realized we had similar interests, exchanged numbers, started texting, then coffee, then dinner, then more dinners. Mira was everything Haley wasn't. Honest, direct, financially independent, didn't need constant validation, could handle her own problems, respected boundaries. We'd been seeing each other for about 3 months when she asked about my divorce. What happened? If you don't mind me asking. I told her the whole story. Didn't sugarcoat it, didn't play victim, just laid out the facts. Found the affair, confronted her, kicked her out, documented everything, divorced her clean. Mira nodded slowly. Sounds like you handled it exactly right. Some people said I was too harsh, throwing her out that night, going nuclear on the divorce. Forget that. She spent 6 months lying to your face and spending your money to cheat. You could have done worse and still been justified. She took a sip of her coffee. I respect a man who has boundaries and enforces them. Shows you have self-respect. Life was genuinely great for the first time in years. Then, one Saturday afternoon about 6 months after the divorce was finalized, my doorbell rang. I opened it, and there she was. Haley. She looked rough, hair messy, no makeup, wearing sweatpants and a hoodie. She was holding an aluminum foil-covered plate. Hi, Rowan, she said quietly. I just stared at her. What the heck was she doing here? Can we talk? She asked. Please? Just 5 minutes. Against my better judgment, I stepped out onto the porch and closed the door behind me. Wasn't letting her in my house. What do you want, Haley? I wanted to... She looked down at the plate in her hands. I wanted to apologize. For everything. I made a huge mistake. I destroyed something good because I was stupid and selfish. Okay. And I was hoping... She looked up at me with those big eyes she used to use when she wanted something. Maybe we could try again? Start over? I've learned so much about myself these past few months. About what's really important. And I realize now that you were... Her voice cracked. I'm broke, Rowan. Living with my parents at 34. I have nothing. No job, no friends, no Dorian. Just, please, I'm begging you. No. The best thing that ever happened to me, and I threw it away for someone who didn't even... Wait, what? No, we're not getting back together. We're not starting over. We're done. But I made you dinner. She held up the plate. Your favorite. That chicken dish you always liked. I recognized it. Haley's attempt at chicken piccata. The one dish she could kind of make. Except she always burned the bottom and oversalted it. I'd pretended to like it for years because she tried. Haley, I don't want your dinner. I don't want to talk. I don't want anything from you. Please, Rowan. I know I messed up. But everyone makes mistakes. That wasn't a mistake. That was 6 months of deliberate choices. You didn't trip and fall on Dorian. You chose him over me every single day for half a year. I was confused. You weren't confused. You knew exactly what you were doing. You just didn't think you'd get caught. I'm different now. Dorian and I didn't work out. Different how? You're standing on my porch begging. That's not different. That's just pathetic. I leaned against the doorframe. Let me guess. Dorian dumped you. Your parents are charging you rent, and you thought I'd be desperate enough to take back someone who threw me away like garbage. That about sum it up? Her silence told me everything. Thought so. We were together for 9 years. And you destroyed all 9 of those years in 6 months. That's on you. That's when Joyce's front door opened. Because of course Joyce was watching. Probably had been watching since the moment Haley pulled up. Joyce walked across her lawn, her newly replanted, imported from Holland tulip lawn, and marched right up to my porch. She was wearing gardening gloves and holding a trowel. She looked at Haley, then at me, then at Haley again. You, Joyce said, pointing the trowel at Haley. You're the cheating wife. Haley's face went red. Excuse me? You're the one who brought that idiot here who destroyed my garden. I remember you. You stood right there while he crushed my tulips and broke my mother's gnome. That wasn't my fault. You brought him here. That makes it your fault. Joyce looked at the plate in Haley's hands. What's that? I made Rowan dinner. Nobody wants your dinner. Especially not him. He's dating someone new, someone respectful, someone who isn't a lying cheater. Haley looked at me. You're seeing someone. Not your business anymore. Joyce wasn't done. She was on a roll. You know what your ex-boyfriend now, right? Cost me in damages? $525 for my garden and fence? Not including the emotional distress of watching my mother's gnome shatter into pieces. You know what I got? $200 from his insurance? 200. Do you know how insulting that is? I don't have anything to do with... You brought him here. You enabled his behavior. And now you're back here trying to weasel your way back into this man's life? Joyce shook her head. Absolutely not. Not on my street. We maintain standards here. Haley's voice was shaking. I just wanted to talk. He doesn't want to talk to you. Can't you see that? He's moved on. His life is better without you. You need to leave. This is between me and Rowan. Joyce stepped forward and grabbed the aluminum foil-covered plate right out of Haley's hands. Hey, Haley protested. This is for my tulips, Joyce said. Then she peeled back the aluminum foil, looked at the sad, burnt, oversalted chicken piccata, and dumped the entire plate right on top of Haley's head. The chicken slid down her hair. Sauce dripped onto her hoodie. Lemon slices stuck to her shoulders. I couldn't help it. I burst out laughing. This was it. The woman who'd gaslit me for 6 months, who demanded I apologize to her affair partner, now standing on my porch, covered in her own burnt cooking by my neighbor. Karma doesn't get more poetic than this. I couldn't have scripted it better. The sauce was dripping down her face, mixing with the tears that had started falling. That's for what you broke last time, Joyce said, handing the empty plate back to Haley. Now get off this street before I call the police again. Haley looked at me one last time. Mascara running, chicken in her hair, completely defeated. Rowan, I was still laughing. Couldn't stop. The whole thing was too perfect. Too poetic. Her terrible cooking literally dumped on her head by the neighbor whose property her boyfriend destroyed. Goodbye, Haley. She ran to her car, still crying, still covered in chicken piccata, peeled out of the driveway just like she had the night I kicked her out. Joyce watched her go, then turned to me and nodded. That woman needed to learn some boundaries. Joyce, that was incredible. Nobody messes with my tulips and gets away with it, and nobody messes with a good man who's finally getting his life together. She pointed at me with the trowel. You keep dating that nice girl you've been seeing. She's much better than the chicken lady. I was still laughing as Joyce walked back to her house victorious. That was the last time I saw Haley. She never came back. Never called again. Just disappeared from my life completely. Funny how she wanted me to apologize to the guy she was cheating with, and 6 months later, she's the one covered in her own burnt cooking, begging on my porch. Life's got a hell of a sense of humor. Guys, we are so close to hit 100,000 subscribers on this channel. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. It really helps hit that 100,000 mark. Thanks for making this dream come true.